What up, homies? I'm John Medina, and this is my podcast, episode 4, coming to you pre-recorded from my living room. A 4th episode. That's pretty much a whole month. I want to thank everybody that supported the show. I really appreciate it. Everybody that shared it and liked it on social media and told their friends and family about it. Without you guys, this show is really nothing. It means a lot, and I really do want to thank you for it. Today on the Just John podcast, social media pet peeves part 2. A little bit more about Facebook. Nickelodeon. Ahmed from Texas. Snapchat updates. And another app review. It would seem like social media pet peeves have no end. Every day I find something else that I'm like, that does kind of get to me. So I've compiled a little list that continues from my list of my first episode that are just other things on social media that really grind my gears. When people post vague statuses, like, for example, I'm really upset, I can't believe this would happen to me. And then someone, one of their friends, who's really concerned, comments on it and says, "What's wrong?" That's the whole point of posting something on Facebook, right? To have some human communication about it just through the internet. And then the person that posts the status says, "Oh, I don't really want to talk about it on social media." Then why did you post the status in the first place? I don't understand why. Do you want pity? Do you just want people to say, "I feel bad for you, I feel sorry for you," but don't actually want to tell people your problems? I really don't understand it. If you don't want to talk about it with people, don't post anything about it on Facebook. It just really confuses me. Horrid grammar. Now, I understand that, even me, I'm not the best at writing or speaking in general. I misspell things, and, autocorrect can do that sometimes too. Like, you could type something, autocorrect will change it. You don't proofread it, because who proofreads everything, and then you post it, and so you made a mistake. And I can understand that. But I see statuses where people intentionally or unknowingly, I guess, misspell a ton of stuff. You're posting something on the internet. You have the ability to go Google it and make sure it's spelt right. Or if you don't want to do that, just speak it into your phone. You can talk to status on your phone, right? And it'll spell everything for you, and it'll most likely spell it correct as long as you speak clear-ish into it. Now, sometimes it might make mistakes too, and that's fine. I understand that everybody makes mistakes, and if you misspell one little word or something, it doesn't really bother me because I understand. But when you spell almost every word wrong, and they're basic words like goal or have, there's a problem. And it really, really, really just gets to me. Another thing is clickbait. I hate clickbait. So there's a bunch of different types of clickbait, and I actually used a few of them as different pet peeves because each of them bother me in a different way. One of the big ones that I see all the time is it'll be a picture of like Jimmy Fallon or some other celebrity, and it'll say a couple things that they said, and it leaves the punchline out. And the only way that you can see the punchline is if you go to this website. And the reason they do that is because they want money from ad revenue, so they want you to go to their website. But that just really, really, really irritates me. I'm not going to click on this stupid link to go to a whole nother website just to see a punchline and a joke on a picture. I don't want to waste my time with that. I just don't know why people get the urge to do that. And I honestly don't know how many people actually even click on that. I feel like no one would, but I guess if no one would, they wouldn't keep doing it. So, whatever. Another piece of clickbait that I really hate is deceiving headlines. So they'll post a headline that actually has nothing to do with the story or takes a few key points of the story and twists them around. And I guess the media does that all the time with the headlines on the news and stuff, but really what they're trying to do on the internet is just get you to come read their article. They're picking a headline that's going to grab your attention, something that's going to make you say, "Oh yeah, I want to go see that," and then you go to their website and they get ad revenue and yada, 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 which you don't need to do that. Just write a good article and people are going to go read it. Like, I'll go to websites to read articles, and sometimes the title is just something normal. And I'll go read the article, and it was a good article. It was well written, and I liked what they had to say, or I didn't like what they had to say. But I still go read the article based strictly on the subject matter of the article. You don't need to make it drama-filled or something that's going to offend somebody, because that's what they do so that you'll go click on their website. The third part of clickbait that really irritates me is when you find a title to an article that may be something interesting. So you're like, you know what, I got a few minutes, I'm going to click on it and I'm going to go read it. And then you have to click the next button 457 times to read the stupid article. They'll have like 2 sentences, and then they want you to scroll down and hit the next button to go to the next page to read another 2 sentences. And you have to do this over and over and over and over again until you get through the article. Most of the time, if I see that, I just completely exit out. Nothing they say could be worth me having to do that. And again, it's to get ad revenue, because every time you click to a different page, they have a bunch of ads that pop up, and they make money from that, which, whatever, I guess that's their business strategy, but it's a bad one. If you just made good articles, people would go to other articles on your website. Like, sometimes I'll go to The Verge and I'll read their article, and at the end of the article it has other articles that are new or recent, and I'll read the titles and I'll just click on them and go to that and be like, oh, that might be interesting too. It's just like on YouTube when you're watching a YouTube video and it has the suggested videos on the side, and then you click on them and you get into a rabbit hole of watching like 87 videos, and then you look at the clock and you're like, wow, where did that 30 minutes go? I can't believe I just sat here and watched stupid YouTube videos for that long. It's the same concept, but just with reading articles. And I don't see why people need to try to sucker you in instead of just making good content. That's the whole point of making content, is to make stuff that you have a passion for, that you like, and that someone else would have a passion for, and that they would like to listen to or read or watch or whatever. It would be like if I had this show and had a bunch of ads in it, or in order to watch it, you had to go through all these loopholes just to get to the content. What makes me think that what I have to say is not compelling enough to keep your attention without doing that, but compelling enough to keep your attention when you have to keep doing that? That's a lot of effort that somebody who is getting paid to provide the content for, not me myself, but these websites, they're getting paid by ad revenue and stuff to make these articles for you to read, and then they think that their stuff can't keep your attention enough to make you go want to read other articles, but they can sit there and think that it's going to have enough power and keep your attention long enough for you to hit the next button 87 times. Maybe they try to create cliffhangers like TV shows do. You know, the last episode of the season has a huge cliffhanger, and then the first episode of the next season fixes it, or it brings it to close. That way everybody watches the first episode and they guarantee to have a good number coming out of the gate. I guess it's a concept like that, but I don't understand it, and I really feel like it's a waste of time. Another thing that people post that really just gets to me is fighting videos. I'm not talking like UFC or wrestling. I understand that. That's more categorized as a sport. Yeah, they're still fighting, but they're trained to fight. That's their profession. That's what they do for a living, and who am I to judge them for that? That's what they want to do. That's what they like to do. That's what they're good at. Go ahead, do that as your profession. Even like MMA fighting, they may not be professionals. They may just kind of do it on the side and have their own career, but that's still something that they have a passion for and that they're trying to get a career for, and they're training for it and stuff. I'm talking about these street fights like World Star and stuff like that people post on Facebook. I just don't understand why you want to flood your social media with people who are fighting over, half the time, dumb stuff. Like, there's no point in half of these fights, and they're just wailing on each other, like just trying to hurt each other, really just trying to give each other a bad time, I guess. And I just don't understand why people want to post that all the time. Like, I don't want to see it. Yeah, UFC stuff, sometimes I'll watch that occasionally or whatever if it's on my news feed, but if it's a street fight, I automatically skip by it. I don't want to watch that. I don't see why people find that enticing to watch two people that are most of the time, as I said, fighting over something stupid, just wail on each other. I don't understand the point. And some people really just like it, and I'm like, maybe that's something that's wrong with part of our society. Everybody wants to try to fight all the time. Why are you going to fight like that? What's the point? It's not going to teach anybody a lesson. It's just going to piss everybody off. And so it just really gets to me when people glorify it on social media and try to post it all over everything all the time. Those are my pet peeves for this time. I'm sure I'll find more and do a pet peeves part 3 because it seems like no matter what, I'll always find something new. But I do want to talk about one of the good aspects of social media. So I've talked about all the bad things that arise from social media and all the bad things about it that kind of get to me. But there's good things out there too. And I want to touch on at least one of them on this episode. So the media usually concentrates on bad stories, bad stuff that's happening in the world. They never concentrate on the feel-good, faith in humanity stories. But social media allows us to find those stories because there are some media outlets that are much smaller and don't have the broad scope that like CNN and NBC and Fox News and all those news sites have. But they still have enough influence to get on some social media. And so you'll see the feel-good stories, the ones that make you see that not everybody in the world's terrorist or a drug dealer or a cop killer or whatever, that there are still some good people in this world. And those are the posts that I really enjoy seeing. Sometimes I don't read them, I'll be honest. Sometimes I just read the headlines. But that's usually just a time thing. I don't really have the time to sit there and read it, or, you know, I'm really just trying to go to bed and I'm just kind of scrolling until my eyes get tired and I'm not really looking to read anything. But anytime I do have time, I love to read them because it shows me that, yeah, there's fight videos and these stories about people dying all the time, but there are good things happening in the world too, and it's nice to get a friendly reminder about that every once in a while. So now that I've got my pet peeves and my nice stories for Facebook out of the way, I do want to talk about Facebook for just another moment. This week they came out with the announcement that they were going to create a dislike button. And this is something that we've heard rumors about for years. I mean, at least 4 or 5 years, people have been talking about Facebook adding a dislike button. And there were always mixed feelings about it because people were like, well, I want to dislike stuff, but at the same time, I don't want people to dislike my stuff. Like, what if I say I got a new job and somebody comes over and hits the dislike button? That kind of makes me feel a little bad, you know? And so when Facebook announced that they were going to make the dislike button, they took care to say that it wasn't going to be a I don't like your post button. It was more of going to be a sympathy button. So when somebody's sick and they post, you know, not feeling too well today, or, you know, maybe they had to have surgery, or maybe their dog of 12 years passed away, or whatever, and people like it. They don't like it because they're glad that they're sick or that they had surgery or that their dog died. They liked it to symbolize that they care. But it still feels kind of weird when you post a status like that and see that Jim Bob down the street liked it. It almost makes you feel like they like your pain. And it almost makes Jim Bob down the street feel that if he does hit the like button, you won't understand that he's trying to show sympathy. So when they announced the dislike button, they made sure to say that it was not about disliking what you would say. It was more about showing sympathy. So it could be used, oh, I'm sick. Oh, I don't like that you're sick. you know. And how are they going to stop people from using it in the other way? I don't know. Maybe they don't know yet. They haven't rolled it out yet. They haven't even started testing it. So they're probably working on some of that stuff. It's just, I think for social media to truly be interactive, there does need to be a way of showing other emotions besides just liking. For example, on YouTube, you can thumbs up, you can thumbs down. On some other websites, you can do similar things. You can upvote, you can downvote. But they don't want Facebook to be like that. But they do want to add a button to create another aspect, emotional aspect to social media. So we'll see how it's going to work. When they beta test it, I probably won't see it. I live in a small town in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, so the chances of them coming to me and saying, hey, will you test this out, are slim to none. So I won't see it until pretty much everybody sees it, but we'll see how it works. Nickelodeon. Does everybody remember Nickelodeon? Of course you do. That was a stupid question. The rumor mill is churning out that Nickelodeon's going to come out with their own channel that's geared towards older shows, like 90s shows from when we were kids, when I was a kid. And that's a cool concept. I think it would be nice. I remember when my parents were really excited that Boomerang channel had been made, and the Boomerang channel, if you don't know, was this channel that had all the shows from when they were kids or growing up on it, like the Jetsons and the Flintstones and stuff like that. And I watched it too because I was a kid and I liked cartoons. I didn't really care how old the cartoon was, and they were really excited. And I think that Nickelodeon saw that and was aware of that and kept it in the back of their mind that, hey, maybe in 10 or 15 years when the millennials are old enough to have some buying power, we can create this channel and try to get some buzz and get some popularity back into Nickelodeon for the generation that left Nickelodeon because they felt like they grew out of the current TV shows. So in honor of this channel, whether it's going to be true or fade into the distance, I've compiled a list of my top 10 favorite Nickelodeon shows from my childhood. They're not really in any particular order, but here we go. Doug, Invader Zim, The Amanda Show, which really it was just basically Saturday Night Live for young kids, but man, has she gone crazy. Have you heard about Amanda Bynes lately? She has been doing some crazy stuff. Holy cow. Back to my list. The Wild Thornberrys was another one that I really liked. That was the one where like she was in African safari or whatever. Cat Dog, which was, I'm not even sure how that was able to be made as a kid's show because it was kind of really messed up. Like, where did they poop? One side was a cat and the other side was a dog, and they were just connected in the middle. I try not to think about it too much because it's kind of weird now, but I loved it when I was a kid. The Fairly Odd Parents was a good one. Man, did I wish that I had some fairy godparents. Wouldn't that be sweet? Jimmy Neutron was another good one. He was like a super genius that made all this cool stuff and had a robot dog. How much better can you get? Hey Arnold. I have one thing to say about Hey Arnold. Stoop Kid doesn't leave the stoop. Rocket Power. Woogie, 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 woogie. That was another good one. I started watching it when I decided I was going to be an awesome skateboarder and rollerblader, and I did not become either of those, but I still watched the show and dreamt about it. And then Rugrats. I loved Rugrats so much. I watched the movie like a million times. That first movie had Who Let the Dogs Out on it, I think, or maybe it was the second one. I don't know. One of the movies had that song on it, and that was the first time I heard that song. And because I loved the Rugrats so much, I really, really, really loved that song. And I still listen to the song occasionally. I haven't watched the Rugrats in a while, even though I think that their movie is on like Netflix or something. Maybe I'll watch that sometime soon. So that's my list of my top 10 favorite Nickelodeon old school shows. What are your favorite Nickelodeon shows that weren't on my list? Tweet them to me at Johnny M. Revo or email them to me at JustJohnPodcast@gmail.com. I actually meant at Johnny M_Revo. I think I just said it wrong. And if I get a good, nice size list going on my next show, I'll come back and we'll talk about the shows that you liked that weren't on my list and why they weren't on my list. Ahmed Muhammad. If you haven't heard this story, this kid, he's a 14-year-old kid, and he's from Texas, somewhere in Texas, I don't know where. And he was in like robotics club or robotics class or whatever, and he's really interested in inventing things and creating things, and he made a homemade digital clock. At 14, I couldn't make a clock. Even if I had instructions, I probably couldn't have made a digital clock. But this kid can, and that's amazing. And so he made this clock at home during his free time, after school or whatever, and he was really proud of it. So he wanted to take it to school and show it to his teacher, and he showed it to his robotics teacher, and his robotics teacher told him not to show it to anybody else at all and not bring it back to school. And, innocent 14-year-old kid, he was kind of confused about it, but he said, okay. Well, later throughout the day, one of the teachers saw it, and she sent him to the principal's office for it, and they called the police on him, and they came and they arrested him because they tried to say it was a bomb. It's kind of sad that we live in a world where a kid who has done something that most 14-year-olds couldn't do or wouldn't do or don't want to do, and he got punished for it. Now, they've came out and said since that they're not going to press charges against him or anything because it would just create too many problems for them because everyone got in an uproar. I mean, the President of the United States said, we need more of that in our schools. I'd like you to bring it to the White House. I'd like to see your invention. Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook said, you let me know if you want to come see Facebook because we need more people like you. You're the future. And I agree with them. I understand the fear that the schools had, kind of. I know that bomb threats and things like that are a big deal, and they can cause a lot of problems for schools, especially if they ignore it and say, oh, I just thought it was a clock that he invented, and then a bunch of kids get killed in an explosion. But at the same time, you need to use better judgment in assessing the situation. If you knew the kid, knew who he was, and understood that he wasn't the kid that was going to build a bomb, then you could have addressed it in a different way. You could have said, oh, that's a cool invention. Can I see it real quick? Take it to the principal's office, let him go about his day, get it checked out. Okay, it's not a bomb, cool, give it back to him, no harm done. It's just, don't stifle someone with so much passion and skill at such a young age, because then when he grows up, he gets into the real world, he's going to be too scared to invent something because he's going to fear that he's going to have to go to prison for making something that could have been used as something else. I mean, almost anything could be used to make a bomb. In the Apple terms and conditions for iTunes, it says that you're not going to use iTunes as a way to trigger a nuclear, or I think it says nuclear weapon. It may just say whatever the fancy word for bomb is. I don't know. An explosive, I guess. That just goes to prove that almost anything can be turned into something violent. And you shouldn't automatically assume the worst in people, especially not a 14-year-old boy who just had a passion for robotics and electronics. He could go on to make something that can cure cancer or turn polluted air into clean air and repair the ozone layer. I don't know. But he could do it, potentially, and by arresting him for having the guts to bring an invention to school is almost counterproductive to how our society functions. You think if somebody had arrested Benjamin Franklin when he was a boy that he would have made all the inventions that he did over his lifetime? Yeah, he could have. He could have got over it. But at the same time, maybe he wouldn't have. We can't know, and doing that is detrimental. The show's running a little longer than I planned, so I'm going to try to pump these next few discussions out really quick. Snapchat update. Holy shite, did I look like an idiot when I first downloaded that update. I'm sitting here pressing stuff. It's switching between front-facing and rear-facing camera. I couldn't figure out how to make the dang thing work. I'm sitting there with my mouth open looking like a total idiot, and nothing's happening. It was it was pretty funny, actually. I wish I could have recorded the whole situation, but I couldn't. And well, I guess I could. I just didn't. It was great, though. It was a lot of fun. I'm just kind of getting better at it now, but whatever, I'll probably still mess it up at least 5 times before I get something decent going on. And then I get online and see that this person has such great skill with it that they can make a real-life neon cat with their freaking holding their cat's mouth open and a rainbow shoots out of it. And I can't even do it with my own self, and I can control myself a lot better than I could control a cat. Kind of irritates me a little bit, actually. The weird thing about the Snapchat update is you now can pay 99 cents to get 3 replays in a day. So, like, you can double tap on someone's snap and replay it one time in 24 hours. And it alerts them that they replayed it. But now Snapchat's saying, okay, so somebody sent you something. You already hit your replay. Oh, pay us 99 cents and you can replay 3 more times for 3 different videos. And it's kind of weird that Snapchat's going to say, okay, somebody sent you a picture or a video that we don't own and that they sent for free under the impression that you couldn't watch it more than once, but if you pay us 99 cents, we'll let you watch it again. We'll still tell them, but there's nothing they can do about it. Weird. It almost seems like Snapchat. Well, okay, Snapchat's a business. I understand that. They're trying to find revenue streams. That's why they have the occasional ads. That's why they have the sponsored stories. If you go to the stories, they're sponsored. Those companies are paying to have those spots. And that's why they have the ability to send money through Snapchats. You don't have any money. Your grandma's like, oh, I'll give you $5. She could Snapchat it to you. And they take their little cut. Okay, I understand. Those are legit revenue streams. I just don't think that it's cool that they're letting you pay to replay content that was created with the sole purpose of you not seeing it for more than a max of 10 seconds. That's the whole point of Snapchat. But whatever, I'll still use it, I can't lie. So my app review for this week is Hearthstone. Now, Hearthstone can be played on a computer, on a tablet, or on a phone. And essentially what it is, it's the Blizzard version of Magic the Gathering. It's the full name of it's Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft. So it's Warcraft characters kind of integrated into it. And it's really, really similar to Magic. I bet you that Magic is really, really upset that they didn't think of it first. Or that they didn't put it out first. It's free. You can download it, and you don't have to pay any money. You do have to have a Blizzard.net account, but once again, you can make that for free. And you can, once you download it, you can start playing. So you get a certain amount of free packs. You have a story mode that you can play the computer, and then you can actually compete with other people. And as you compete, you can complete challenges to get gold, which you can use to buy packs, or you can buy packs for money. Of course, they'll take your money. Why not? I don't blame them. And yeah, there is a little bit of that feeling that the people that paid money have a little bit of an advantage over you, but not much, because the game is built in a way that combats that. So you have different skill levels, and it knows, and as you play against other people, your skill level kind of changes. It says, oh, you're really good, or you're not so good. And I fall into that category, so don't feel bad if you do too. And when you go to play online, it matches you up with somebody that's at your skill level, maybe a little above, maybe a little below. So within, a couple points of your skill level. And it makes it a lot easier. When the month first starts, because every month they have a little tournament between everybody that plays. When the month first starts, you may encounter some people that have a skill level that's way ahead of yours, but the system just doesn't remember that, and so it doesn't know it for this month's tournament. And they may, you may have to deal with that for one or two times. But once everything starts leveling out, you get really into it, and you get to compete with people that are the same as you level-wise. I really like the game. I've been playing it for a couple months now, so I have a little more experience than I did in my last app review, and I would totally give it 5 stars. And most of the time, a match doesn't take that long, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, so you don't have to worry about cutting chunks out of your day again. That's really big for me on games. I really hate having to plan time to play this game. Maybe I just have 15 minutes before I have to go do something. I want to be able to play a game and not have to worry about being late for my thing or quitting the game in the middle of it. So I really, really love the games that aren't time hogs, because honestly, if a game's a time hog, right now I don't have the time to cut out of my day because there's other things that I want to do. And so I'm going to keep trying to, if I review games, I'm going to keep trying to review games that are similar to that, because I don't have time to test out the other games right now. If you play Hearthstone, let me know. Maybe we can get some teams together and have a little tournament type thing. That would be a lot of fun, I think. So hit me up, let me know that you play and that you'd be interested in maybe getting a little tournament together, and we can do a Just John podcast tournament. Alrighty, if you enjoyed the show, please show me some love by liking, thumbs up, subscribe, sharing, or whatever it is that's used to symbolize the love on the show on the platform that you're using to view it. Follow me on Twitter at JohnnyM_Revo. You can find the show at JustJohnPodcast.wordpress.com. You can also listen to the show at SoundCloud.com/JustJohn-podcast, or you can listen to the show on YouTube.com/JFMEDINA2010. You can also find me on Stitcher. Just go to Stitcher.com and search for Just John Podcast, or go to Google and search for Just John Podcast Stitcher. iTunes, maybe eventually. I don't know what's going on with that. You can email me at justjohnpodcast@gmail.com. And remember, without you, I'm just some dude talking to himself on the internet. Until next time, peace out, fam.